you consider yourself an Asian American?
Sometimes it's a perception that Far Eastern, which we call Orient, is only Asians, whereas we in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, this is called South Asians. And then we have Middle East. All of them are part of Asia.
Right.
But people do get surprised when we call ourselves Asians.
It's all based on where, you know, your heritage comes from.
Correct.
Just the continent of Asia.
That's right.
Well, that's great. We're glad you're an Asian American. Now, I know that you immigrated here from Pakistan, but you were educated there, and you came to this country, and immediately you became involved while you were in college. Tell us, you know, what stirred you on to become active as a college student?
When you come to the university, every campus usually have ethnic groups, and they have their own student organizations in there. When I came to University of Utah,
you went to the University of Utah?
University of Utah.
Okay.
And I heard that there was a Pakistan Student Association, but it diminished because the number of students. When I got there, there were a couple of them, so I thought, okay, it's time to revive.
Okay, so there were a committee of two? Was it?
No, there were 6.
Oh, 6, okay, that's a big organization.
Yeah, but then we had the support of the Pakistani community outside the university, so we started those. And you always like to project your identity when you come to university. That's what we started.
And I guess the success of being active on the college campuses sort of spurred you on to continue?
True. When you go into the practical life, then you say, okay, now you have a community at large to interact with.
Right,
not only the students.
Right.
That's when you get involved in larger organizations.
Well, I know that when I attend meetings, and I attend a lot of meetings, very often I'll see that you're there. But I don't see a lot of members of the Pakistani American community participating in some of these mainstream activities. Is that common?
Pakistani Americans were not very politically active.
Okay.
They would be active with their children's school activities or their own group activities, miniature groups. But in the past couple years, we have been emphasizing on the community that since we are the permanent part of this landscape of this country, we need to participate in the public life. And lately, Pakistani community is getting aware of it, Pakistani and Muslim community, that they are part of this community, this larger community. They have to participate in this.
So they've always been quite insular.
Correct. Correct. Now they are, Pakistani and Muslim community are getting much more active.
How much of that is attributed to 9/11? That they're now more active, more involved, and you know, sharing their voice? I
would say 9/11 was a big catalyst in this. Because first time I think the Pakistani and particularly Muslim community felt a little bit defensive because of lots of stereotype attacks in media and the common public attacks on the Muslims and the Pakistanis. So they thought the involvement of the community in the public affairs is a lot more important now than it was before. And I think maybe it will trigger them to come out vigorously and participate. And in the last general election, we noticed that Pakistanis were very involved. Not to the extent we would like them to be, but they are very involved.
Now, 9/11, let's talk a little bit about that. Certainly it has had a big impact on your community. And I guess people's generalizations about somebody that might look a certain way. Have you personally felt any of that?
Yes, I was on an assignment in New Jersey for a little while by myself, and I used to walk around. I mean, in the evening I'll go for a long walk. My last walk was on 10th of September. 11th of September I stopped walking because we found out that lots of people were getting antagonized by our looks. And people were manhandled and that kind of thing. So I did not want to give anybody any chance of thinking like that. I mean, we are very law-abiding citizens of this country. And, but there are some, of course, ignorant people everywhere. And some of those were coming out to take revenge on people who look like me or Arabs or Middle Eastern looks. So we were we were a little cautious in this,
Yeah.
all of this. And it is, and the community as a whole did feel impact of this, that they are being defensive now because there was onslaught of criticism, rightly or wrongly, but there was criticism and people felt really defensive. I mean, I've been living in this country for 29 years. For the first time I felt a little defensive, but we are going to come out of it.
And actually, there's two aspects of you. There's your Pakistani-American identity, which I guess also, has contributed to people's perceptions for the whole 9/11. And then there's your Muslim identity, which, in and of itself has also perhaps caused some level of anxiety. Is that true?
Yes, it did. Well, most of the Pakistanis are Muslims.
Oh, okay.
Most of them. 97% of the population is Muslim.
Oh, okay.
And the probability of Muslims coming to this country from Pakistan are very high. So you can see with certainty that a Pakistani would be a Muslim. And you're right that as Pakistanis and as Muslims, we did feel an impact of 9/11 very much.
Do you feel it now? Is there, is there residual impact, or is it sort of over and
I would say from the common public, I think it's residual now. Now we are faced with the impact from the intellectuals who have started dissecting and analyzing things, I would say, incorrectly.